Hello, my friends. My name is Tom. Welcome back to King English Podcast. I'm really glad you're here. Today, we're going to talk about something unexpected and interesting that recently happened in the United States. You hear about every day. An earthquake was felt in parts of New York and New Jersey. Yes, you heard that right. Let's dive into the details and explore what happened, why it matters, and how people reacted. Just before 10:30 at night, residents in New Jersey and across the tri-state area experienced something unusual. The ground started shaking. The earthquake was centered near a small town called Hasbrouck Heights. This town is located in Bergen County, which is in northern New Jersey, not too far from New York City. According to the first reports, the earthquake had a magnitude of 3.0. That means it wasn't extremely strong, but it was strong enough for many people to notice. A few minutes after the quake, the New York City Office of Emergency Management posted an update on social media. They said they were monitoring the situation carefully. At that moment, there were no reports of damage to buildings or injuries to people. That's good news. It means that while the ground moved, it didn't cause any harm. At least for now. To better understand what happened, we turn to meteorologist Vanessa Murdoch. She explained a few important things about the earthquake. First, while earthquakes are not very common in this area, they are not completely rare either. People in New York and New Jersey have felt similar shaking in the past, though not often. She also shared some technical details. The earthquake occurred about 6 miles below the surface of the Earth. That is the depth where the energy was released. The magnitude was 3.0, which we already know. This is considered a minor quake. It may rattle windows or move light objects, but it usually doesn't cause serious damage. Vanessa also mentioned that about 30 seismic stations picked up the movement. These are special stations that measure vibrations in the earth. They help scientists understand exactly where and when the earthquake occurred. In this case, the exact time was 10:18 p.m. The U.S. Geological Survey, also known as USGS, created a special map to show who felt the earthquake. On this map, many small blue boxes appeared across the region. Each box represents a person who said they felt the shaking. The colors on the map ranged from light blue to purple. These colors mean the shaking was weak to light in intensity. In other words, it was noticeable, but not dangerous. Vanessa went on to explain that the shaking was felt as far as 60 miles away from the center of the quake. That's quite a distance. People in towns and cities all around the area felt a sudden movement under their feet. Some might have thought it was a truck passing by or a loud construction noise. But it was actually the earth moving slightly beneath them. As the night continues, more people may report what they felt. These reports help scientists update their information and provide a more complete picture of the event. Earthquake data can change slightly in the hours after it happens as more measurements and details are collected down. Now, even though earthquakes don't happen often in this region, they are not completely unheard of. Vanessa reminded viewers of a few past events. One example was a 4.8 magnitude earthquake that occurred in April of the previous year. That was a stronger quake compared to this one. Another was a 3.4 quake back in February 2009. Going further back in time, she mentioned a much stronger earthquake that happened in New Jersey on November 29, 1783. That one had a magnitude of 5.3 and was probably very noticeable. So while this recent quake isn't something we see every day, it's part of a long history of occasional seismic activity in the area. And for many people, it was surprising enough to talk about it with friends and family. Events like this remind us that the earth is always moving, even if we don't always notice it. After covering the quake, Vanessa turned her attention to the weather forecast. She said that despite the unusual shaking, the atmosphere would be calm moving forward. The weather was expected to be beautiful, giving people a chance to enjoy the outdoors without worrying about more tremors. Finally, the anchor wrapped up the report and reminded viewers to stay tuned for updates. Earthquake reports can change quickly as more information comes in. Emergency officials will continue to monitor the situation and let the public know if anything new happens. So, what can we learn from this story? Even in places where earthquakes are rare, they can still happen. It's important to stay calm, stay informed, and follow advice from emergency services. If you ever feel the ground shaking, try to get to a safe spot, like under a sturdy table or next to an interior wall. After the shaking stops, check for any damage or injuries and be ready to listen for news updates in the next part of the podcast. We'll talk more about earthquakes in general. What causes them? Why do they happen even in places like New Jersey or New York? And how do scientists measure and study them? It's all coming up soon. So stay with me and let's keep learning together. Are you ready for part 2? Let me know when you want me to continue. Welcome back, friends. In the first part, we talked about the recent earthquake in New Jersey and how people in the surrounding areas, including New York, felt it. Now, let's go deeper into the topic. What causes earthquakes? Why do they happen in some places more than others? And why do they sometimes happen in places where we don't expect them, like the northeastern United States? An earthquake happens when there is a sudden release of energy in the Earth's crust. This energy creates seismic waves that make the ground shake. The Earth's outer shell is made up of large plates called tectonic plates. These plates are always moving, but usually very slowly. When two plates push against each other, they build up pressure over time. Eventually, the pressure becomes too much and the rock breaks or shifts. That's when an earthquake occurs. The area underground where the earthquake starts is called the focus. The place directly above it on the surface is called the epicenter. In the New Jersey quake, the epicenter was near Hasbrouck Heights. The depth was about 6 miles, which means the energy was released 6 miles below the ground. This is a shallow depth, and that's why people on the surface were able to feel it. Most earthquakes happen along the edges of tectonic plates. These areas are called fault lines. Places like California, Japan, and Indonesia have many earthquakes because they sit on active fault lines. The northeastern United States, including New York and New Jersey, is not on a major fault line. That's why earthquakes are less common there. But there are still small faults in the region, and sometimes they can cause minor earthquakes. Scientists use a tool called a seismograph to measure earthquakes. The seismograph records the vibrations in the earth and helps determine how strong the earthquake was. The strength is measured using something called the Richter scale, or the moment magnitude scale. The higher the number, the stronger the quake. A magnitude of 3.0, like the one in New Jersey, is considered small. People can feel it, especially if they are close to the epicenter, but it usually doesn't cause serious damage. Sometimes people ask if you can predict earthquakes. The answer is no, not exactly. Scientists can study fault lines in areas with past activity to estimate the chances of future earthquakes, but they cannot say exactly when or where the next one will happen. That's why it's important to always be prepared, even in places where earthquakes don't happen often. After the New Jersey earthquake, many people shared their experiences on social media. Some said they were sitting on the couch and suddenly felt a small shake. Others thought maybe a large truck had driven by. Some people who live in tall buildings said they felt the building sway for a few seconds. These are common reactions to minor quakes. Often, people are unsure at first if what they felt was really an earthquake. The New York City Office of Emergency Management acted quickly. They posted updates and reminded residents that they were monitoring the situation. It's important for local agencies to communicate clearly when unusual events happen. Even if there's no damage, people want to know what's going on. Quick updates help keep people calm and informed. Let's talk about how you can stay safe if you ever feel an earthquake. First, if you're indoors, don't run outside. It might seem like the safest choice, but it's usually better to stay where you are. Try to get under a strong piece of furniture, like a table or desk. Cover your head and neck with your arms. Stay away from windows or anything that could fall. If you're outside, move away from buildings, streetlights, and anything else that could fall. If you're driving, pull over to a safe spot and stop the car. Don't stop under a bridge or near power lines. Once the shaking stops, wait a few moments before moving again. Check for damage around you and listen to official announcements in case there are aftershocks. Aftershocks are smaller earthquakes that often happen after a larger quake. They can occur minutes, hours, or even days later. Most are weaker than the main quake, but they can still be strong enough to shake buildings or cause small objects to fall. It's a good idea to stay alert after the first earthquake, just in case. Now, let's look at why people in this area are surprised by earthquakes. Many folks who live in New York or New Jersey don't think of their home as an earthquake zone. They are more concerned about snowstorms, hurricanes, or flooding. But, as we've learned, small earthquakes can and do happen. Being aware of this possibility helps people stay prepared and respond calmly when it occurs. Scientists will continue to study the data from this recent quake. They will use it to update their models and better understand the faults in the area. These updates are important for emergency planning and for building safety. For example, engineers may review how buildings are designed to make sure they can handle even small tremors. It's also helpful to remember that the Earth is always changing. Movements deep below the surface affect us in ways we don't always see. Most of the time, these movements are small and harmless. But every now and then, they remind us that we live on a dynamic planet. So what can you do now? First, make sure you have an emergency plan. Know where the safest place is in your home. Keep some basic supplies like water, a flashlight, and a first aid kit nearby. Talk with your family about what to do if an earthquake happens again. Second, stay informed. Follow local news and updates from official agencies like the USGS or your city's emergency office. They will provide the latest information if something happens. And finally, keep learning. The more you understand about the Earth and how it works, the better prepared you will be for anything that comes your way. In the next and final part, we'll explore the long history of earthquakes in this region. We'll talk about some of the biggest quakes from the past and what they can teach us today. We'll also look at how earthquake science has changed over the years and what the future might hold. Let me know when you're ready for part 3. Welcome back, friends. In this final part of the episode, we're going to explore the history of earthquakes in the northeastern United States and how past events help us understand today's tremors. You might be surprised to learn that earthquakes have been recorded in this region for hundreds of years. While they're not frequent, they do happen from time to time, and sometimes leave a lasting impression. Let's go back in time to one of the most significant earthquakes in the history of New Jersey. On November 29, 1783, a powerful quake with an estimated magnitude of 5.3 struck the region. This was a major event, especially for the time. There were no modern buildings, no seismographs, and no internet to share the news instantly. But people remembered it clearly. The shaking was strong enough to be noticed across several states. In fact, historical records show that buildings shook, chimneys fell, and people were frightened by the sudden movement. That 1783 earthquake is the strongest ever recorded in New Jersey. While we don't know exactly where it started, because of limited technology at the time, experts believe it was centered somewhere in northern New Jersey. It serves as a reminder that even places far from major fault lines can still experience significant seismic activity. Moving forward to more recent times, there have been a few other quakes that got people's attention. On February 3, 2009, a small quake with a magnitude of around 3.4 was felt in New Jersey. Then, on April 5, 2023, another quake struck with a magnitude of 4.8. That one caused more concern because it was stronger and more widely felt. These events, while not destructive, helped remind the public and officials that earthquakes are a real possibility in the area. Each time an earthquake happens, scientists gather data to better understand it. They look at things like the depth of the quake, the location of the epicenter, and how far the shaking was felt. This information is used to update maps, assess risks, and improve building codes. In many cities today, especially those near fault lines, buildings are designed to be more flexible and resistant to shaking. This kind of planning can help save lives and reduce damage when a stronger earthquake strikes. Let's talk for a moment about how the science of earthquakes has evolved. In the past, people didn't know what caused the ground to shake. Many thought it was something supernatural or a punishment from the gods. But now, with modern science, we understand the Earth's structure much better. We know that tectonic plates are always moving and that the energy released when they shift is what causes earthquakes. The invention of the seismograph changed everything. This device allows scientists to record even the smallest movements in the Earth's crust. Today's seismographs are incredibly sensitive. They can detect earthquakes on the other side of the world. And with the help of satellite data and computer models, scientists can study quakes in real time and share their findings quickly with a public. Technology also helps emergency services respond more efficiently. When an earthquake hits, alerts can be sent to people's phones within seconds. In some countries, like Japan, early warning systems can give people a few seconds to take cover before the shaking begins. These systems are still being developed in other parts of the world, but they show the power of combining science and technology to protect lives, even though earthquakes can't be predicted exactly. There are steps we can take to reduce their impact. One of the most important things is education. The more people know about earthquakes, the better they can respond. That's why it's so helpful to learn about them through news, podcasts, and educational programs like this one. Another important step is preparation. Make sure your home is ready. Secure heavy furniture to the wall. Store breakable items in lower cabinets. Keep emergency supplies in a place that's easy to reach. If you live in an apartment or a tall building, know where the exits are and how to stay safe inside. Community preparation is also key. Schools, workplaces, and local governments should have plans in place. Regular drills can help people stay calm and act quickly when something unexpected happens. Even a small quake, like the one in New Jersey, is a good reason to review safety plans and talk with others about what to do. Let's come back to the recent quake one more time. While it was only a magnitude 3.0 and didn't cause damage, it made people stop and think. For a few moments, the ground moved. People looked at each other and asked, "Did you feel that?" Some turned to social media. Others checked the news or called their friends. That moment of shared experience is powerful. It reminds us that we're all connected and that nature can surprise us at any time. Events like this also remind us to stay humble. The Earth is an enormous, living system that we are still learning about. Even with all our technology and knowledge, we cannot control it. But we can respect it, study it, and prepare for the moments when it moves. So, to wrap up today's episode, let's remember what we've learned. Earthquakes happen when the Earth releases built-up energy from deep underground. Most of the time, they happen near fault lines, but they can also occur in areas that are less active. The recent earthquake in New Jersey was a reminder that even small events can get our attention. They teach us about science, safety, and the importance of staying ready. If you live in a place that doesn't usually have earthquakes, don't ignore the the possibility. Being ready is always better than being caught off guard. Talk to your family, prepare your space, and stay informed. Thank you for joining me today on the King English Podcast. I hope this topic was not only interesting, but also helpful for your English learning. You got to hear about real events, science, vocabulary, and everyday English used in a natural way. That's the best kind of practice. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and come back for more. We'll keep exploring useful topics, improving your listening skills, and helping you feel more confident in English. Until next time, take care, stay curious, and keep learning. This is Tom signing off. See you in the next episode.